Cliff. Ross.
Jane.
Lockie.
Diane. Cato.
David.
Dean.
And Jacinta is passing through, and we're going to give it up to Bob now.
Okay. Couple of newbies here, so we'll go through the same old spells, which most of you heard a million times, just to give you an idea what it's all about. We don't teach you anything here, and we don't tell you anything. What we do is point toward and ask you to look where we're pointing to see for yourself. Because no matter what you believe or what you've been told, there is nobody that can teach you anything. Nobody that can tell you anything. Because what we talk about here is what they call non-duality, one without a second, not two. So it's only the one who is there to tell who and what is there to tell. Nothing at all. So, another way I put it, I'm not speaking to anybody. I'm not speaking to any mind. I'm not speaking to the body-mind entity you believe yourself to be. I'm speaking to that I am, that I am. And that I am is the sense of presence. As expressed through your mind is that thought, I am. Just to this, nothing else. Because that is all there is. And what we're pointing to is not you. If you look in all ancient texts or scriptures, you'll see it's the base of them all. And so it's all pointed in different ways, and there are different takes on it. And that's where the confusion comes into it, because of all the different takes there is on it. Non-duality, what they call non-duality, means not two. One without a second. One without the other. So if that's so, and it says it's all one, there is only one essence. It's patterning, shaping, forming, expressing and experiencing through everything. And isn't that the great mantra, I am that? And innately you know that. Because you say, that's the chair, that's the room you're sitting in, that's the space in the room, that's the tree, that's the flower. Everything is that, which we discriminate with the word, we put more labels on. Take it to be other than that. And we separate it with the belief in the word. Now, how many words were you born with? And you can't remember your birth, so you didn't have any words at birth. So realise that every word you've ever spoken or ever likely to speak has been picked up along the way. We've learned it, we've heard it and picked it up. And so the word, when you look at it, is not the real. It's not the thing. Take the word water. Try and drink the word. Swim in the word, wash in the word, or drown in the word. You can't. Does the word fire burn your mouth when you speak it? Can you cook with the word? Can you heat yourself with it? You can't. So when you investigate this word I or me, it's taking yourself to believe that this is what you are. Maybe when you investigate it, you'll see it in a different light. The word I is just that sense of presence, the awareness of being present, which is with you right now, being translated into the thought, I am. I am is the primary thought. You didn't have any words when you were born. And for the first couple of years of your life, you didn't have any words. And you learnt words from your parents, with the parents fussing around you, told you little Johnny or little Mary or little Billy, whatever you know. And you translated that when you learned words like I and me, that I am little Johnny or little Billy. And so we've taken ourselves to be this person, this separate entity, this individual. But are you the person? Where does that word person come from? You look in and realise it came from the ancient Latin persona, the mask. So we've got this conceptual mask. We're hiding ourselves behind this mask of concepts, we believe. That I am Bob, the Australian, the good fellow, put all these labels on, not so good. The word is not the real. And if you didn't learn any words for the first couple of years of your life, you were functioning without the word. What does that tell you? Doesn't it tell you were prior to the mind? You were full of words, before the mind. That's all that mind is word. What's that word? Word sound. What's it sound? What's sound? A vibration. And a vibration is what? Movement of energy. So there is no such thing as mind apart from thought. Are you that I thought? If you were the thought, I am, you'd be frightened to lose it every night when you went to sleep. It would be the end of you. But you give it up quite easily, quite happily give it up when you go to sleep, finding out that you're not the word. You've not what you believe yourself. Hinduism, they call it Satchitananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. Or another word, way of putting that is being, knowing and loving to be. Well, investigate that and see. Are you existing right now? You are. Are you conscious? Yes. You're not unaware? No, I'm aware. Are you happy to be? Would you wouldn't be dead right now, would you? Rather be. So you are that existence, consciousness, this. Already. It's already so. So what's the search for? You realise that the search has become the problem. Because the search is the belief that you are separate from that. And you've got to become that. You've got to realise that or recognise it. And that's when we set out on our search. And that takes us into all sorts of things. Trying to acquire or affirm this or that, not realising that you are already that. And that's the great mantra. I am that. And innately, you already know that because you say, that's the chair I'm sitting in. That's the room I'm in. That's the space that's in the room. Everything is that, which we put words on, more words on to discriminate it from that, separate the thatness of it. So we say here, recognise or start from the fact that you are already that, and you've always and ever been that. Start from any other place and trying to become something. It will not happen. Because becoming is not being. It implies a future time. And when you investigate time, you'll see that time is a fiction also. So you can never become something. But try and negate this beingness. Are you being right now? Yes. You can't say I'm not, so I must be. But we call ourselves a human being. And if you believe in God, you'll call God the Supreme Being. What happens if you take that word human off and take the word supreme off. Try and separate the beingness right now that you are. Try and tell yourself, I am not. You can tell yourself, I'm not, a million times, but the very fact that you're able to say it implies that you're there. So you already are that, always have been and always will be. But we've lost sight of it when we take on this belief we are the person, the separate entity, the individual. And we don't take that on because we've learnt words. Now, you didn't pick up any words, as I said before, till you were about 2.5, the capacity of reasoning time. But you were functioning quite well without the word. And that means that what you are, what are you without the word? You are existing, aren't you? You're existing right now. You're being right now, and you're knowing right now, and you're loving to be. So you already are that. There's no becoming, not what will be. It is right here, spontaneously, in this ever-fresh, what I call, for want of a better term, presence awareness. Anybody who is unaware right now, you'll say no. Anyone who's not present right now, not present, is the awareness you're knowing right now, is it yesterday's awareness? Is it tomorrow's awareness? Or is it that awareness that's with you right now? A pure being, knowing and loving to be. So you're already that, and we've taken on the problem of becoming and got ourselves into all sorts of conceptual trouble. But we learnt words, and I am Bob, the good boy, or the not so good, or I'm unhappy, or I'm fearful, or I'm anxious. And the worst one we put on ourselves, after all, I'm only human. We put ourselves and put all these labels on us. All our psychological suffering comes about from that belief we are a separate entity. It's only me that can be unhappy. Only me can be fearful. Only me that can be angry. Me is the cause of all my psychological suffering. And the effects are the fear, the anger, the depression, the guilt, the despair, the unhappiness. They're all psychological suffering. They're the cause of the psychological suffering. Me, the belief in me. And isn't that what so-called karma is? Cause and effect. If I see that me is the cause and ask myself the simple question, can there be effect if I'm not relating to a cause? Or can there? And you don't have to be a Rhodes Scholar to work that out either. If you're not relating to a cause, where can the effect lie? So you can be rid of all the psychological suffering with it. In the recognising that you are not this person. You're not this separate entity or individual. You're not this mask of concepts or ideas. See how it all functions in your life. Something comes up and you like it. How do you know? Well, I've had this before and I don't want it to go away. We want to keep the good things we like, we don't want the good things to go away. Not realising that this livingness is transient. It's constantly changing. Have a look at that now, and your mind's constantly changing right now. It's transient. So we don't want the good things to go, not realising that no matter how much you love them, how much you want to keep them there, it's going to change because it's transient. And there are thousands of cells dying in your body right now and being replaced. And know that, but you don't remember it, don't take any notice of it. So, the good things, no matter how much you love them, how much you want to keep them there, go to move on. We don't want it to go, so what do? We resist it. We try to keep it there by resisting it. And realising that any resistance you are in conflict. And any conflict you are in makes you unhappy, uneasy. Another word for uneasiness is disease. So there's resistance, conflict and disease going on with us all the time. Something comes up that I like, or that I don't like. I was with the like before we were trying to get there. I don't like. Oh, I've got this idea that that's bad, I shouldn't be thinking that. It's bad, I've got to get rid of it. So what do? We try to force that one out. Instead of trying to keep it there, now we try to force it out, so we're in conflict again. Again, resistance, conflict and disease. This is where life consists of. All because of this belief that we've taken on that we are this person, that we are this separate entity, we are this individual. What happens if you recognise, investigate and see that you're not separate? You are this one essence, this one life that's happening, shaping, forming, experiencing and expressing as everything. What's going to happen to all the psychological suffering then? That's what they tell you in the scriptures, but know the truth, and the truth will set you free. What have you got to be free from? The belief that you are separate, because that's a belief we've taken on, and our parents and schools and everybody else have reinforced it, and we reinforce it ourselves when we get locked into it. Know the truth, and the truth will be set you free. So investigate it and see, recognise that the false cannot stand up to investigation. So you'll know the truth by investigating the false. And you've got all these false concepts and ideas come up, which we believe are true. But when you question your belief, is a belief the actual? Well, have a look, investigate it, and see if it's actual or not. And you look up your dictionary definition of belief. And the definition of belief is an unquestioned acceptance of something in the absence of reason. I mean, we haven't reasoned it out, we haven't worked it out in the mind, we've taken it for granted. And we've taken on all these beliefs and suffering accordingly. For it's only me that can be unhappy. It's only me that can be fearful. Only me that can be anxious or depressed. So me is the cause of all my psychological suffering. And all of me is a word, a concept, an idea. And the great perfection is non-conceptual awareness. They call it the perfection. What can you add to the perfect? Nothing, it wouldn't be perfect. What can you take away from the perfect? Nothing, it wouldn't be perfect. So that's the great perfection. Or the other way they put it is the absolute. What can you add to the absolute? Nothing, it wouldn't be absolute. What can you take away? Nothing, it wouldn't be absolute. So we've got already this absolute. Nothing to be added to, nothing taken away. Question that and have a look. Are you this body? Are you this mind? We believe it so. To be so. And as I said, a belief is not the truth. The definition of belief is an unquestioned acceptance of something in the absence of reason. Acceptance of an alleged fact without positive knowledge or proof. When you put your beliefs to that test, they won't stand up. So, and they question the beliefs and really look into them, they'll fall apart. You believe in so many things. Have a look at them. Many things you believed in, when you've investigated, you'll see they fall apart. Go down to the ocean, I say, get them a bucket of blue water out of the sea. You say, don't be an idiot. Because you go down to the ocean, you know the sea's not blue. But it appears to be blue. We've taken it to be blue. But when you question it, you see it's not so. And who would believe today? And when people stood on the shore years ago, look out where the sea and sky met, they were told, don't go up there, you'll fall off the edge of the earth. Because it looks like the edge of the earth, but then you can see the horizon. Who would believe that today? The blue sky, you go outside the clear day, there's a blue canopy seemingly over the sky. Go up 30,000 to 40,000 feet in the plane, where's the blueness? It's not there. It's always further out. A rainbow. You go outside on a misty day, you'll see the sun shining through the mist. There appears to be colours in the sky. There are no colours in the sky at all. I've got a crystal in that window over there. When the sun shines around to the west, it will shine through that crystal. It'll hit up on the wall, all sorts of colours will be on the wall. Try and grab one of the colours out, there's nothing there. So when you look into a lot of these things, investigate these things we believe to be so, you'll see they're not so. And again, so know the truth will set you free. When you investigate, you're free of all these beliefs. And it's that sense of presence, the knowing that you are, that translates through the mind as the thought I am. It's that sense of presence, that sense of being, pre-sense, prior to the senses, prior to put any labels on the senses. This is good or this is bad, or feeling this or tasting that or smelling that. Pre-sense. It's the immediacy. And this time is a mental concept when you investigate. Is there a past if you don't think about it? Well, have a look at that. You realise there's no such thing as a past unless I'm thinking about it. As Shakespeare told you 400 or 500 years ago. He says there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. It's what we think about these things that are making it seemingly good or bad. Nisargadatta tells you, and it says nothing can trouble you excepting your own imagination. Look at that word imagination, and break it down to imagine, imagine, and realise that's what we're doing. We're creating these mental or conceptual images and taking them to be real. Look in a mirror. What do you see in a mirror? You'll see images or reflections. You can't say they're not there. There's a mirror at the end of the room. Have a look at it. What do you see? Reflections. You can't say they're not there. You go up to the mirror and try and grab a reflection out of the mirror. You can't. So you can't say they are there. So you can't say it is or it is not. That's the same with this manifestation. You can't say it really is or is not. It appears to be so. And they call it a phenomenal manifestation. And the definition of phenomena is that which appears to be. It's only seemingly so. And they say that the phenomenal manifestation is Maya. It's illusion. It's only seemingly to be real. So that it's not real at all. The real is that life essence that you are right now. As Christ told you years ago, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. People thought he was talking about himself, he wasn't. He was talking about that sense of presence that expresses or translates through your mind as that thought I am. That's the way to go. Stick with that and find out, follow it through. That's the way, that's the truth, that is the life. And recognise yourself that you are of life. You're not the body, you're not the mind, you're not the person. Have a look at this idea that you are the body. Don't just say my body. Don't just say my house, my car, my coat, my hat. You know damn well you're not the car, the coat, or the hat, or the house. Maybe you're not the body either when you investigate it. And when you investigate, you'll see that's so. What's this body made up of? You realise it's made up of elements. Air, earth, fire, water, space. Just like the elements around you right now. Well, if you think you're separate, separate yourself from the air. Stop breathing, see how long you'd last without an element. Take the water out of your body. Stop drinking water. Your body, 60% water, you wouldn't last that long. Take the fire, the body temperature. You'd soon get hypothermia and die. Get off the earth if you can. Get out of space. You realise you can't. And what are all those elements? They can all be broken down into subatomic particles, into pure energy. So all this body is a vibrating pattern of energy. So take this big thing called mind. And you say, my mind. Whose mind is it? Who's the me that owns the mind? And is there such a thing? You can't show me a thing called mind. And is there such a thing as mind? And you realise there's no such thing as mind apart from thought. And if mind is thought, which particular thought would you be? You'd be that primary thought, the I thought. And if you were that I thought, you'd be frightened to lose inside of it. And you gladly give it up every night when you go to sleep. So it means you're not really too concerned with it at all. So what's that? What is thought? And Shakespeare says nothing either good or bad but thinking makes it so. What is thought? Well, you realise thoughts are vibration, a movement of energy, a concept, an idea. And they tell you, in Buddhism they will tell you, the great perfection is non-conceptual awareness. Awareness without any labels, without any concepts. So there, you see the answer to that. There's all this conceptualising that's going on, this thinking, that's causing all our problems. So if you're not the body, you are not the mind, what must you be? Aren't you that life that's animating, patterning, shaping, forming, that's expressing as this body? And that's what Christ told you, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. It's that sense of presence, that I amness, that is the life of you. There is no body that lives a life. Life itself lives on life. And out of life, more life comes. Life cannot know death. Now this body is transient like everything else. It's constantly changing right now. But what happens when death comes about? The life essence goes out of this pattern. You have a look at that pattern, it's a corpse without the life in it. But before it rots and breaks down, it's still got the eyes, still got the ears, still got the heart, the lungs, the sinews, the nerves, all the organs are still there. But what good are they to it without the life? What would you realise from that? That you must be not the body's finished. You must be the life that animates and expresses through it. The power, the intelligence energy that is the life. Good analogy for it's just like a computer. You've got a computer with all that information, some amazing information in it. If the power's not turned on, what good is it to you? So the same, if the life's not in this body, the body's no good to you at all. It's finished. The computer's no good without the power on it. So where does that put you? You must be the life essence itself, that power. If you like to use the term, the godliness of it. Tells you in the Bible, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, the Word was God. That's all that God is a word, a label. All things were made by Him, by the Word. And there was nothing made that was made. Isn't that a fact? All these things around you, we've got words or labels on. We're labelling with the Word. But the Word's not the real. And what's it all appearing? You realise the basic screen in which everything appears is space. You're sitting in space right now, appearing in space. Try and grasp the space. Has it got any centre? Has it got any circumference? Can you say there's an inside to it and an outside of it? You can't. Does it have any beginning? It has no beginning, no concepts at all, nothing at all. It's no thing. Now realise that you and I and everything else in this manifestation are things. The tree's a thing, the flower's a thing, and this room's a thing, the space in the room is a thing. Every pattern, shape and form are things appearing in space, which is no thing. Now, can something come from no thing? It can't. So it's all no thing appearing as something. And we've taken this appearance on this thing that we call this body mind to be real, and all the other things around us to be real. When you realise it's absolutely the one essence, pattern, shape and forming, experiencing, expressing as everything, and you are that no thing, then what are you going to be bothered by? You don't have to put a label on it and become something which separates yourself, and that sense of separation is not the reality. Start from the fact that you already are that. Keep relaxing into it. When you relax into it, settle into it, it becomes clear and obvious what you are. You are the one essence that's patterning, shaping, forming, experiencing and expressing as everything. I am that essence. I am that godliness. I am that absolute. We break ourselves up into patterns, shapes and forms, not realising that we think good and bad are words. That's the way the thought functions in the pairs of opposites, good and bad. But you don't realise it's the one essence. When it's good and bad, it's not two things. It's two ends of the one stick. So when we see the good, we want the good, we don't want the bad. So we try and push out the bad, push out the opposite, keep the good, but it doesn't work. Because it's not divided, it's not separate. But leave it as it is and it'll move around from the bad, it'll come back to the good again, just the same as the earth's rolling around the sun. Seasons coming and going, tides coming in and out, planets forming, imploding, exploding. It's breathing you, it's beating your heart, it's growing your hair in your fingernails, replacing cells in your body. It's living you. It's the one essence expanding, shaping, forming and expressing as everything, and you are already that. No need to become, because becoming implies a future time. And look at this concept of time. And see, that's a concept also. Because time seemingly has a beginning. But when does now begin? We'll try and grasp it right now and realise as you're saying it's right now, it's already finished and starting again. It's got no duration, no time. So time itself is a mental concept. No beginning, no end. But you'll say, I was in the past. I'll say, well, try and live yesterday. Try and live last week. Try and live a moment ago. You realise you can't go back and live yesterday or last week or last year. You can recall it, but you can't go back and live it. And you can't tell me what you thought of a minute ago now unless you recall it. If you're not recalling it, it's gone for good. So you see, past is just what they call the past is just a recollection of things. And future is anticipation and imagination. You can't tell me what you're going to live when you finish this meeting. What the concept or idea what you're going to do, but you won't know until you're really doing it. So anticipation and imagination implies a future time. So time is spontaneous. When does now begin? It's beginning right now. And that's eternity. We think eternity is a million years ago or something like that, but it had a beginning. But anything that has a beginning will have an end. But can you grasp this now moment? Because it's spontaneous as its beginning, it's always ending. So it's not no duration to it whatsoever. So you can be rid of that concept of idea of time. So that's things that need to be investigated and see for yourself. Nobody can ever give it to you, because you, the people that think are things, something, they're separate entities. How can something that believes they're separate give anything to anything else? You can't. The speaking of it can be spoken about, and it might resonate with something that does with a lot of you that have heard it before and resonate with it and recognise it, can be recognised. But nobody is going to impart it to you or give it to you. It'll be that natural recognition or resonation that'll bring you to it. They call it a cognising emptiness in Buddhism. We think we cognise the emptiness, we think we know the emptiness, but we don't. It's the emptiness that fused with that intelligence energy is the cognising itself. And they made the statement then that emptiness is form. And turn it round the other way and said the form can be nothing other than the emptiness. So it's that known thing that pattern, shapes and forms into the appearance and form that seems real, but it's emptiness. It's the cognising emptiness that's doing everything. So it's just like a dream. And Nisargadatta tells you that also. He says, realise you are dreaming a dream you call the world. And he says, stop looking for ways out. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to get out of this dream. Not realising that it is a dream. He says, the dream is not your concern. Your concern is you love one part of the dream and not the other. He says, love all of it or none of it. Don't take a stand anywhere. Love all of it. Is all the dream okay? Leave it as it. or none of it. I won't ever borrow any of it. And the rest will be done for you. That's the beauty of it. The rest will be done for you by the same life essence that brought you into the dream. That's lived you, and brought you into it. Where did you begin? You began at birth. You can't remember your birth. Well, how did you begin? How did you come about? We'll go back as far as your father and your mother. Those two vibrating patterns of intelligence energy. Go back further than that if you want to look into it, investigate. Remember, the false won't stand up to investigation. Have a look at that life essence of pattern shape and formed your father, that intelligence energy. See that it's made up of that life itself, in that pattern, shape and form, through the breath, the prana, and the food he's eating, in that pattern enabled in that pattern, through the functions going on, a little microscopic particle called a sperm to form. You can't see it with your naked eye, but that sperm is fused with intelligence. It knew what to do. And the same life essence in your mother enabled in that pattern another microscopic particle called an egg or an ovum to form in that pattern. That ovum attached itself to the wall of the uterus. It knew what to do. It's fused with intelligence. And when those two came together, the sperm swam to the ovum. It knew what to do. And the ovum was attached to the wall of the uterus. When those two together, the life essence in those two doubled those cells, doubled it again, formed the little embryo, the little fetus, which is what you are today. What were you doing about it then? If you think you're running the show. You realise you weren't doing anything at all about it. But the life that was in it was knowing what to do, and that's caused all these things, the language, the words to come about, the thought, the thinking, and it needs something to vibrate and express through, so it's this body-mind. It needs something to express through. And that same life essence forms the body to express through, and with all the cells and the organs and the brain in it, if that wasn't in it, it couldn't express anything. So everything is suffused with that intelligence energy. What I call, for want of a better term, intelligence energy. I don't use the term God because you can get confused with that term, because in each tradition they've got a different idea or concept of what they believe God to be. And what's the name, Hinduism, there's 1,000 names for Vishnu, 1,000 names for God. Hebrews say, Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one God, there is none other. The Muslims say there is no God but God, Allah is his name. Christianity, there's Father, Son, the Holy Ghost, omnipresence, omnipotence, omniscience. Buddhism, God is the one essence, is non-conceptual, ever fresh, the great perfection, ever fresh presence awareness. All different terms for this thing called God. It's just another word or another label. In the beginning was the Word. And have a look at that. See that analogy, how that is. Adam and Eve are in the Garden of Eden, paradise. What do? They ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. They learnt words. When they learnt words, they kicked out of paradise. So you see, it's all caused, nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. It's all caused by these words. Now, the words can be very useful. But they're also, tell you they're this, that, and the other, they're self-destructive. Because the word works both ways. It can be useful, but it can be self-destructive. So it doesn't mean to say you don't have to learn words, but you learn the words and know which words to utilise. Because words can be very useful, but they can also be self-destructive, because they divide into the pairs of opposites. But that's what we point to here, and ask you to look along those lines and see for yourself. And as you know, there's some of you here who've got a good taste of it and can express it beautifully. Others might have doubts or questions. And if you're here for the first time, it might be the first time you looked into it. But have a look and see if any of it resonates. So that's all you need to know. If it resonates, well, go for it. If it doesn't, look somewhere else. So away you go. Thank you.
So I don't really have any questions from anyone online apart from complaints about the long volume, but you've expected it, haven't you? They couldn't hear most of them.
I couldn't hear.
Yeah. People online. Yeah, you could hear here, but people online couldn't. Yes, so now I think you girls are rushing to go home earlier, right? Would you like to ask your questions, or do you like
I don't have a
comment?
question, but I'll leave it for the 12.
Yes.
Is it
So,
okay if we just find a good time?
so we just put you on the spot first, and whenever you need to leave, you just get up and go. It's just.
I just wanted to ask for some more clarity. I think I struggled to the points about emptiness and form. I feel like it went. It didn't land, and I could feel that I wanted to get more from what you were saying about emptiness being form and form being emptiness. So I just wanted a bit more clarity on that point, if that's okay.
You realise you are a thing. Another way of putting it, I'm a thing. All this manifestation are things. Patterns, shapes and forms are things. All appearing in the basic space of phenomena, which is no thing. So can something come from no thing? When you look at it, you see something cannot come from no thing. So the vibrations, patterns and forms, they're constantly transient, they're constantly changing. There's nothing solid and substantial. This body, thousands of cells are dying in it right now and being replaced. We don't realise it. It appears to be solid, and the manifestation seems to be solid, but there's nothing solid about it, any of it at all. It's all just a vibrating pattern of energy that continues, seemingly real. Make it any clearer?
Yeah.
Also, sometimes they call it a dream, and dream is such a magnificent example to see how everything in the dream comes out of nothing. Like when you dream at night, you have the body that is moving outside the bed and is climbing mountains or flying or having all sorts of antics and meeting people and seeing buildings and rocks and mountains and trees that allegedly have been there for hundreds of years, and they haven't. They just came out of the thin air. The whole dream appears in one moment out of nothing and becomes so real. Apparently people even die in the dream because the experience or sensation of fear is so much stronger it can literally kill. Or other experiences, that's just because the impulse control is off, so the emotions are very strong. And the world feels so real. And it is nothing. It's made of nothing. And this one they also call the dream. And when we look into quantum mechanics, we can see that this is all just the movement of particles of energy which are interpreted by that biocomputer to be pictures based on past memories. Like if we see something new, straight away association comes and label it as something familiar. That's how it slowly gets updated. So it really is all appearance. They call it Maya or appearance, because it appears to be solid and substantial. And we, the bodies, appear, I mean, we're not the bodies, but our costumes appear solid and substantial. But that's how it appears to be. Bob often says that it is illusion in how it appears, but it is truth in essence, because the essence is that energy, the energy which appears either as a potential, which is emptiness, or as the realization of potential, which is a sound, that's energy. Light is the energy. The solid matter is E equals mc square is an energy. So it is the energy in the manifested and unmanifested that makes it form and emptiness.
So the interrogation is seeing the inherent... So the interrogation is looking at the inherent emptiness and form, like of everything, that it can't label this as emptiness and this as form because of its flux. Is that the... Okay.
Beautiful.
Hinduism, they call it Shiva Shakti. Shiva, the static aspect. Shakti, his consort, the female aspect. Shakti dances or vibrates and the world appears. They call it the dance of Shiva, Shakti. So they describe it. All are vibrating patterns.
And it is really just knowing the truth, because the perception will still be as it is. Like when we look at those enlightened beings around here, one was sitting on my lap for an hour, the cat. They don't imagine to have an ego or separate self, and they don't translate the world as relevant to the me. They don't have the self-obsession and self-hatred and all that stuff. They just live in a natural state, and in the natural state the world appears in that field of consciousness that they are. Their body appears, the cat body appears, another cat body, human bodies, all of it appears in that space. The perception is still seemingly of objects. The cat doesn't bump to the wall as she walks. But they don't have the labeling pattern. We do have labeling, so we will label emptiness or space differently than the object in the space. And labeling is not the problem per se. It is wonderful capacity this mind has, and the memory is also a wonderful capacity which created the whole civilized world. The problem really is in believing the labels when we take them to be real. And this is what Bob was saying, when you take the word to be real. Word is just the mental symbolic representation of thing, is not a thing. Julia, you can get it this way.
And that didn't start until we were about 2.5 years old. I'm a mom. We call it the terrible twos. It's around that age, because you start out with no words, but then it was, I've forgotten your name, I'm sorry. Freya. Mama Freya. So then that's Mama, and that's not Freya. And that's a ceiling, and that's not Freya. And everything for little babies who don't have a thought for anything is just Freya. I guess everything just is. There's no, even a Freya, it's no dividing of anything. And anyway, yeah, I like his point of intelligence energy.
Thank you, sweetheart. You might also ask yourself, Freya, is there anything outside of your knowing of it? Does anything really exist outside of the consciousness of this thing, the awareness of whatever it is? Which in turn, if you see that that can't possibly be so, then one automatically must conclude that everything is made up of knowingness, which is a kind of intangible, ephemeral kind of thing, isn't it? That's the true. That's the no-thing nature of everything, really, isn't it? It seems to be solid for a minute, and it seems to be outside of me. But in reality, it's not, is it? It's only existent in my, if you like, my consciousness of it. Yeah.
It's all conceptual. All conceptual. Yeah. It's all conceptual. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Right. That's it. Yeah.
And we perceive by our five senses, really. We actually don't go beyond our five senses until we can see and feel and touch. But if you actually let go and perceive someone who might have hurt you, in actual fact they haven't hurt you, it's just how you've perceived it. But if you go deeper, they're one with you.
Yeah, so as little kids we're taught labels, and that's when the split happens. There's the me and the other. That's when that split happens, and so the mind narrates everything that happens once we learn words, you know, and it creates, at times the narration's okay, but at other times it creates a separation or a conflict within us. But it's the nature of the mind to only work in certain parameters: pleasure, pain, happy, sad, me, you.
Success, failure, profit, loss.
Yeah, and so the mind, when it's just tra-la-la-ing along, is fine. It's when we name and claim things that it creates the conflict within us. And so when it's pointed by Bob to say, well, hang on, you know, there is no actual me. The me's only a memory of you, and there's no other. That's also only a memory appearing here right now, and that's what causes the conflict within us. But in actual fact, there's only one. You know, but the mind doesn't like that, you know, because the mind can only work in two, you know, dual. So it's hard to get the head around initially that there's only one, because the mind doesn't like it. It wants to name and claim everything.
Yeah, actually, we inevitably come to the conclusion that the mind is this vehicle of obscuring the nature of reality, because it's always attempting to bring into being a subject and object. That's, as you said, that's just what it does. That's its duty, if you like, and it's limited to that. But, you know, we've come to a point here, the reason you're sitting in these chairs is because you've discovered that that's somehow not satisfying enough, is it? It's kind of like there's got to be something more than that.
Deeply disturbing.
And it is deeply disturbing, yeah, in the realisation that, you know, everything here is so infinitely intangible. You know. Yeah, sure, Cameron.
No, I just wanted to say that I felt such a consonance in that resonance in this about water and fire. So I don't know if feedback's helpful, but there was like some real resonance within the body about when you spoke that, like, you know, when you have that moment of pinpoint, and you know, you've heard that in different ways many times, but just the way you said it was like, you know, when you go, oh, that's it, that's the one. So thank you. That was a very clear way of expressing that. Really appreciate it.
That's the resonance.
Yeah, it was very resonant.
And the resonance, well, that's yours then.
I have a couple of comments from people who are with us online. Amarnath says, all forms are formless. Formless is form, only two ends of same stick. Daily in deep sleep, we are formless. After waking up, we create forms by imagination, adding to I am. Just to whom is deep sleep or waking states, it dissolves. To whom is form and formless. And Tanya says, can you say something about the thought of being disappointed about something? First there is a thought, then an intense energy appearing on the basic screen. But thought says this is not pleasant. Haha. You want to say something about it?
Who's disappointed?
Who is disappointed? Yeah. Yeah, it's just the energy floating through the awareness.
Yeah, not what the seeming person expected. Yeah. So disappointed.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Amarnath also says, in between thoughts and three states, thoughtless, stateless awareness can be catched easily. Later everything is dissolved into unchangeable self. And Tanya says, actually without thoughts, there is a sense of relief. And Rohan says, one pointer that landed for me to directly experience emptiness is form is from Douglas Harding, who described the experience of headlessness. In our direct experience, on present evidence, we cannot see our own head. The direct experience is just as vast expanse in which all things appear. That vastness is empty, and yet is capacity for all that appears in it. Emptiness is form. And Amarnath says, to whom is thought thinker itself is thought, do intensely and deep inquiry requiring repeatedly aim is to dissolve enquirer or thinker, not thoughts. Thought cannot dissolve the thought, only phantomness of thinker dissolves everything. Mind is always interested in second and third person, never I first person. Yeah, I have quite different experience of mind being interested.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I do, thanks. Yeah, Bob, you said before with the whole, the dream here, you either accept it all or you reject it, or maybe I haven't, correct me if I've got it wrong. And then life will sort of sort it out depending on what your choice is. Can you just talk about that? Because the natural inclination is to say, well, I like those bits, but I don't like all those other bits. So I was just interested in that.
Instead of judging it all, just that which resonates, leave it. Leave it resonate and see where it takes you. That's where the rest, when they say the rest will be done for you, is that living, breathing, life essence that's doing everything now. And then it's digesting your food, breathing it, causing your heart to beat, the breath to happen. It's doing a lot, and it's amazing if it's allowed to be. When we get in as a conceptual image and try and run the show, or we get lost in the concepts and ideas, because it's not fully functioning naturally, it can be very fearful, stressful, or whatever, lots of other terms I can't think of the words at the moment, yeah. But everything is, Banky tells you, everything is perfectly resolved in the unborn mind. He calls it the unborn mind, the mind before we start thinking about it, the natural pure mind. Nature does. The earth's rolling around the sun right now. And anybody doing that, anybody cranking it up or giving it, refueling it or anything like that, or is it just happening spontaneously? And what's your next thought going to be? Do you have to conceptualise about it or think about it? You can't tell me what your next thought is going to be, yet thinking is happening. And you say, I think. As soon as you say, I think, you formed a subject, a thinker. And I think this thought, you thought that's the object. Subject thinking has come about. But before that, it's just pure thinking. And Shakespeare told you nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Let it be. If we're not thinking about it, it's going to be neither good or bad anyway. Just be as it is. As it is means it's unaltered, unmodified, uncorrected. No preference, no partiality, no comparison. It goes by itself.
Here Tanya says, thank you, Bob. No one here that is disappointed. Just an intense energy appearing and disappearing now. Cool. Peter, did you want to say something? Or?
No, I'll say.
No. Okay.
I'll just say.
Oh, please.
I'll just say that the judgments in the form thoughts and judgments are, they're often off the track, aren't they? Like you often think that that's the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. And then a year later you'll be going, thank God that happened.
I wanted to just throw in something that it's been said, I guess, a few times here. But there was a quote I think I heard once: "No self, no problem." I like that, because like what he's inviting you to investigate is really, if you ask, my mom used to do this to me when I was a kid, man. She'd sit me in a chair until I squirmed for hours. Who are you? I'm a girl. Okay, you're not a girl. You're a girl. Oh, yeah, you're this. And she never really just kind of like, come on, help me out here. You know, if the answer comes up in words, that's not it. Okay? Because that would have helped. But she didn't say that. She didn't know to ask. Yeah. But that is a good pointer to know when you're even looking, that if it comes up in words, keep looking to what are you. And I think they call it in Hinduism neti neti, not this, not this. And it really does changes the game a bit when you can look and discover and see, wait a minute, okay, so who's got a problem here? Who cares? Who wants to figure this out? Who's upset? Who needs to save the world? Who's going to die? Who? Can I actually find the one? Oh, sorry. Yes, I did once, because I remember hearing somebody say, well, who's upset about this? I am. You know, can you find the one? Yes. I'm slapping my leg, right? Or a body part. And it didn't occur to me for like 2 years. I'm slapping my thigh. So it's an indicator, anyway, that I am this body, right? And when I can see, okay, well, I'm not that. I'm not a personality or even a person. That's a body type, isn't it? You know, we're human. I'm not a thought. I'm nothing. Time is an illusion. How can anything real exist within an illusion? So I'm nothing in time. Nothing. And I'm using words to say nothing, but here, well, it was helpful for me. And to get this better pointing, that I don't know. It changes the game without changing anything to understand these things.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's true.
it changes everything. Because I remember one time having a car accident, and I was really into letting go and releasing, welcoming my feelings, and all that. And what really helped me to finally just drop it was a conversation with this man. As I was beating myself up for hours over an accident that was my fault. And I manifested it too, because I was thinking about it 3 days before it happened, and boom, you know. And then as I was like beating myself up, I called him up and, I thought about your quote, what's wrong with right now if you don't think about it? Problem is I can't stop thinking about it. And he's like, so who's thinking about it? And then I just started laughing. It's so simple and so beautiful, the simplicity of it's such a simple question, and it's all that's really this whole thing can point to. It's just that one thing, really. Like, if you just take a look, who wants to figure this out? Who needs to correct anything? Who needs to... That's it.
I know who you are. You're the non-dual white witch of bling and blah.
And that.
Perfect. We've got a couple of comments.
Go for it.
I'll take it.
So here is Amarnath saying to Tanya, beautiful Tanya, thoughtlessness, awareness as substratum untouched by thoughts can be done during thoughts, no coming, going. And Tanya says, yes, exactly, Amarnath, thank you. And Sophie, can you speak about the great joke of no me and the me takes itself so seriously?
What?
Can you speak about the great joke of no me, while the me takes itself so seriously?
Well, who can say anything about it?
Who can say anything about it?
Yeah. Is me going to say something? I'll be in the same boat. There'll be no me trying to point out that there's a me.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they say open your mouth and the Father will speak. Jesus was talking about the Father as the consciousness, the Father sky. The body is the mother element, it's a physical or material sort of an expression, and the consciousness being the sky. So the know me will be talking about the know me and everything else, because the me is a phantom, it's a fiction. How the me can speak or say anything about anything if it is a Santa Claus, if it is a ghost, imagination, a construct. So yeah, but Sophie, you already said that. Speak about the great joke. This is about the great joke.
Thank you so much. Donations?
No, you can put it in the box if you have some. Yes, so that's about the great joke. And Amarnath says, great, everything is a joke in this world, or nothing is a joke. Everything is a joke and nothing is a joke. Yep, because everything is nothing. And he says ha ha ha, and few ha 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 joins from people online. And now Kiran. Healthy anxiety has been so bad. Health anxiety has been so bad since getting pregnant and now having our boy. I have been afraid of so much, or more aware of how afraid of things I am. And having a son has now made that fear impossible to ignore. I want to surrender to the now, yet it doesn't seem to happen easily for me, as mind is constantly future tripping. Kiran, you want to comment on that? Yes, so Kiran, if you see that the mind is constantly engaged with the future and basically scaring itself away, because that's what it does really. If you want to be terrified, that's the easiest and simplest way to get into that anxiety. But you are the consciousness in which the mind is tripping itself over future. You are the space-like awareness in which that habit pattern plays out. If you could just relax enough attention to just witness how the mind mechanically does it, then you will experience this much attention that you relax, this much relief you will experience. And initially it may be just a little bit, just seeing the madness of the mind from the no-mind perspective. But the more you actually see it this way, the more you will be recognizing that you are the witnessing presence in which the mind comes and goes. Because you know that mind doesn't do it all the time. Sometimes it does other things, and sometimes it's just quiet. Sometimes the attention doesn't go there at all. But you are always there. Whether the mind is active, whether the mind is tripping over future or scaring itself, anxiety, you are always there prior to the mind. And remember, you can call us anytime.
Could I just say on that?
Please.
Yeah. Brilliant. It's important. It's important to remember that there really is nothing to fear but the contents of your imagination, and that really helped me to see that whatever it was that comes up as fear is imagination and nothing more than that.
Yeah. That's true, yeah. We can only construct these future scenarios in the present time, or in the presence. And clearly, presence is the only thing going on. It's only this moment, we are only ever in the present moment. Isn't that not correct? Of course we are. That's on investigation. This is a priori, completely understood matter of fact, isn't it? So, is it difficult then to simply see the unreality of these constructions that we're scaring ourselves with, and simply to come back to this present moment that you are.
I like to look at the imagination as kind of like the way I saw the boogeyman when I was a little kid. You know, that imaginary guy who was hiding under the bed or in the closet. And you look and he's not there. Then you could see its imagination just like this, just like your fear of the future.
And funny enough, I remember Bob has this beautiful quote sometimes. He says about Mark Twain, saying that he died 10,000 deaths over a fear of things that have never happened.
A coward dies 1,000 deaths. A courageous man, only one.
There you go. The thing is, as paradoxical it is in regard of what we are saying here, that the answer is not in the mind and the logic doesn't help. With managing anxiety, it does. Because if you really even look over last couple of weeks and see how many minutes or seconds or hours you spend over creating dark scenarios which have never happened, you will know how unreliable and ridiculously exaggerative mind pattern is, and how unhelpful, because it creates the hormones that basically distribute the energy in a fight-flight mode that doesn't really, it impairs your capacity. Behind that dark scenarios is love for safety, yes. Your mind wants you to be secure, it wants you to always be safe. That's a wonderful motivation. But the way that motivation expresses itself as creating anxiety is simply unhelpful, and it can be recognized, because the only safety lies in your trust in life, that if the situation happens, because life will provide everything. And the situations, the emotions, who knows, the worst, the climate changes, the crises, the minor, the major, your safety lies in trusting in life that you will have enough capacity to figure it out when the moment actually comes and become now. Because rather than overlooking this unique moment, which will never be the same again, and trading it for some horrible dark scenarios which may never happen, you could really, as Peter and Cliff said, just delight in that uniqueness, unique mysteriousness of this moment where nothing wrong is happening, and just anchor yourself and rewrite the whole mind into appreciating what is, because that becomes a habit of appreciation of the current present safety, and of course the recognition of the illogical and love behind that illogical fears. This way around.
Alternatively, you could just take all your clothes off, run outside, and put your hands in the air and say, "Kill me now, God." Surrender, and then see what happens.
Yep, beautiful. Surrender, that's wonderful. And Dale Allison says the answer is not in the mind, as the word or label is not the thing. It is prior to thought, absolutely. And Amarnath, replying to Dale, questioner and question are false. Why to answer at all? Answering also happens. And our imagination was so intense that it took intense imagination as stillness. That's Amarnath says with a lot of laughing. And Kiran says, there is a fear of surrender and letting go now that I am a mother, yet I also feel an urgency to let go as well for the same reason. Here lies the paradox. The time for a one-on-one is definitely near. Anytime, Kiran, you can come with your baby, or you can call, or you can Skype, or you can come all three of you. yeah, it is really rather important, even though we kind of laugh at importance because it's all a dream. But it's, you know, your emotional responses are already conditioning the baby. So it's good if they will come from appreciation for the current safety rather than anxiety of the impossible and non-existent imagination of the bad future. And we miss you. Will be wonderful to see you too. And Ram says, no, another one from Amarnath. It is easy, you are not the mother. Role or mother is superimposed. You can enjoy your motherhood drama without becoming it. Will be a great fun too. Action without actress or acting. Looks though in the beginning, but it is most easy with practice. And British Julia says, as I believed in me in the past, the teaching of surrender was difficult to do. It's a letting go, a death of the me. The fear of surrender, if there is an idea that you have to, the ego that you are will be defeated and killed, the fear of dying, well, it is really a recognition that no one has to die. If you see the Santa Claus to be a dressed up guy and no real Santa Claus existing, it doesn't mean that there was any real Santa Claus killed and there was any blood or any corpse lying somewhere and there was anything to fear. The recognition that ego has never been real doesn't take any fear. It's actually a relief that no one has to die or surrender, really. That's the surrender. To realize nothing to surrender, no one to do the surrender. And Maureen says, Bob, I so often appreciate the depth of your silence, unmodified, unanswered, unaltered. Love, love, love. And Tanya says, I appreciate this also. Love you, Bob and Kat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm aware of a gulf between intellectual understanding and the deep kind of understanding which leads to transformation, which leads to an end of suffering. And so I have an intellectual understanding of a lot of this, but it hasn't penetrated to relieve this suffering, this burden of me. And I'm wondering if you can comment on that.
I'll hold it.
Well, can you find what you call a me? Do you know that you are?
I know that there's suffering.
Yeah.
Even if I can't pinpoint a me, there seems to be suffering here. I mean, it's not constant suffering. It comes and it goes. But it feels like there's some stuckness. And as much as I meditate or come to satsang, there doesn't seem to be an alleviation of that. Even though I can't pinpoint it, that some entity or even apart from a me or an I, suffering happens.
That's the I has a concept about it. Without the concept, without the word, what is it then?
Maybe just a sensation. I guess a sensation or a thought. Yeah, thought. Yeah.
Without putting the
Yeah.
labels on it.
Yeah.
Just a pure vibration, the movement of energy. See it as that.
And ask yourself who is suffering, and the obvious answer is me. But suffering has to take place over time. You know, you have to say, I've always felt like this, or I've been experiencing this for years, or some other idea has to come up. And when you realise that that's the thought itself, and that's the habitual thought that we keep bringing up, that there's someone there that's been experiencing something over time, rather than just seeing that as a whole collection of thoughts that we go to out of habit.
So
we try and grasp it with a concept and we fail. He says you're bound to fail because it's non-conceptual awareness. If you're not putting a concept on it, what is it? Is it suffering? Is it fear? Is it good?
Okay.
Nothing good or bad, but thinking.
So it seems that I'm keeping this suffering alive by the way that I conceptualize it, by the way that I think about it. Yeah. Okay.
That's what I meant when I said no self, no problem.
Yeah, no self, no problem. It's very true.
The great perfection is non-conceptual. A concept or a thought.
Say it again.
The great perfection is non-conceptual awareness.
Yes.
It's like that story I tell myself. I'd catch myself thinking, gee, I'm having an absolutely shit-house day today. And then I'd think, well, when did you start thinking that? And I think, I just started thinking that 3 seconds ago.
Exactly, yeah.
And until that point, it was okay.
Until that point, it was whatever.
Yeah.
All right, I just wanted to say one thing, is that you don't have to understand this. All you need to do is bring the me that I'm talking about to question. That's all you have to do. The rest will be taken care of. So just that's a true thing, actually. There's no further understanding. So just bring the me, or bring yourself, question whether there is any other time but now, and therefore just. You're bringing the whole construction out of time, out of the future, and just questioning whether it can actually be anything other than a projection. And just wait and see, and you'll discover that all you need to do is bring it to question, not to fill in the lines after that.
Thanks. Sometimes, or what I do now is just, if you feel suffering or something's come up, just allow to feel it, and you come back into yourself, and it might go sometimes a few breaths, and the more you feel it without labeling it, the more you get all this energy, you get goosebumps, because you know it's not true. You've come home to yourself. You just feel this, like as I'm saying, sometimes just feeling it without anything. It's just beautiful. It's just energy. Yeah, just feeling it. It's just energy. Yeah.
Just before we sign off, I'm going to remind everyone that Bob will be speaking tomorrow. I will not be co-hosting, but Maureen will be. So if you're in the United States, or even Australia, because it'll be Monday here, but Sunday afternoon or Sunday night in Europe, if you want to join us, we'll be here tomorrow on Zoom.
And I have just a couple of comments here from Amarnath. Oh no, first one was from Ram, saying nothing except love. And Amarnath, nothing dissolved in everything, everything dissolved in nothing, yet nothing at all, to whom is the thing. And now we got Maureen says, love and thanks to all. And now we have thank you messages. Rohan says, love that, Peter, just question the me and all else will be taken care of. Amarnath, no problem is the biggest problem of the mind. Good point. Thank you, Peter. Understanding the ununderstandable is a great fun too. That's Amarnath. And JB says, something that helped anxiety is an old saying, relax, nothing is under control. Let life lead. Beautiful. It's a beautiful note to finish the meeting. Such a great meeting. Thank you guys, and so much love to you guys that from JB and Julia did clocks change anywhere. not in Perth, no time here. Yes, time is a mental construct. I don't know about changing time, probably
We'll
later.
change in April. Australian
April.
clocks will change
Yeah.
in April.
Okay. And John says, well said, it is the seeing of the self in the empty space that brings the realization that the empty space is the real self. Beautiful. And Amana, thank you, Maureen, for hosting. That's for tomorrow. And thank you, everyone. Thank you.
I'm going to have to go down there, so I wanted to give you a